monster. And then he said, the little boy said to his mom, hey, can I go swimming in the Loch Ness? She said, no, we don't do that. He said, but Dad's out there swimming right now. And she said, yeah, but that's different. He's insured. All right. So we have been, today we're going to be talking about the Oglala medicine holy man, Black Elk. And he tells his story in the book Black Elk Speaks. And in his story, he has been having visions since his early childhood, and his visions horrify him because he knows that the thunder beings are calling him to be a medicine person. So he doesn't tell anyone about his visions, and he kind of hides from it, and then things kind of keep getting worse for him. And finally, he gets very sick, and at the age of 17, his parents, they bring him to a medicine person. He finally tells his vision, and the medicine person says, look, this is it. You need to become a medicine person, and first, you need to become an adult. So it is time for Black Elk to go on his vision quest. And so for today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the vision quest, this rite of passage from childhood to adulthood. Now, I should say here, and this is really fascinating, Native Americans, and this is true of every tribal culture on earth, this is something that they all have in common. There's no adolescence. It is just, you are one of the kids, and then one day, the medicine person comes up to you and says, today, your childhood is over. Today, you are now going to become an adult. There is no in between. There's no, like, you know, living in your parents' attic. It's a teepee. Your parents don't have an attic or a basement. So it's like, it's time for you to do this. And he says, the first step in going on your vision quest is that you need to choose a wise old medicine person. Now, there are multiple medicine people in your village, and you get to choose which one of them is going to be your guide, not only as a kind of coach and a kind of midwife. This is the person who's going to coach you through the parts of going on your quest, and also the person who's going to help you to interpret, to figure out what the symbols in your vision mean. But aside from that, it's important because you're going to be like sitting alone in your undies in the wilderness for like 3 days. And so it's important for somebody in the village to know where you are. And they can kind of, you know, keep an eye on you from a distance, and they can also make sure nobody comes up to interrupt or that you're not in any danger. Or they also have to make sure that you don't fall asleep, because you're going to be on this quest for a couple of days without eating, as we'll see. But if you fall asleep before your vision comes, then you have to start the whole thing over again. So first, he's going to choose somebody who is going to be his coach for this thing. And the next thing that they have to do is he and the medicine person need to build the medicine lodge. This is the sweat lodge. What we're looking at, this is a diagram of what it is. You have to get sticks, kind of living sticks, sticks that are still bendable. And you bend them and you make this dome. And something that's really fascinating about this dome, you have no nails, no screws, no fasteners, no metal. There's no metal in it. The only thing you've got to hold this together is that you've got your sticks, your bendable sticks, and you can peel a little bit of bark to make like a string, and you have to tie it. You have to tie it all together to make this thing. So building this lodge, which we're going to see is kind of, we would say it's kind of like a sauna. You build it, it's a sauna. You're going to have water in it. You're going to drop hot rocks in the water. You're going to fill it up with steam. But you have to build this sauna, and the building of it is part of the lesson. It's a meditative exercise. You're building, you are also chanting, and you sing songs, you say prayers during the building of this thing. And when it is done, what you have is this combination of wood, you cover it with bison hide, and then you have a fire and you have stones. So it is made up of these elements of Midwestern Native American life. Like, these are the things that are important, and it is the plants and the animals and the earth and the stone and the steam, the sky, they're all part of this thing. And when you go inside of it, now in this picture it's not covered by a bison hide, but if you can imagine that, once you go inside of it, you are kind of entering into this sacred world that is made up of all of these sacred pieces. These are all of the things that a human needs to stay alive. Here is a picture of it with the bison leather hides on it. And as we can see, as we'll see, well, we'll come to that. So while he's building it, and then during the couple of days that they spend kind of steaming inside of this thing, he cannot eat food. He can have only water. And what it's going to do is it's going to purify him. First of all, he needs to be emptied of food, but also drinking water and then sweating water. It's going to clean him from the inside out. It is like a form of baptism, but instead of putting water on the outside of someone's body, you put water into the body, and then the water comes out, and it carries out kind of what we would call the toxins. But in this spirituality, it's kind of carrying out those impurities that are in the body. The other thing that's going to happen is that now we know that, when you're in that sauna, part of what makes it work is that you're opening the pores of your skin. In this belief system, as the water is coming out of your body, it is also making your boundaries, your skin, kind of more open to the outside world, and to the spirits. So he's going to spend a couple of days in this sweat lodge, which we can see it's almost like a pregnancy shape. It's almost like this person needs to enter into the womb of the earth in order to be reborn as an adult. When that part is done, Black Elk says, "We came to a high hill, and there was nobody there but the old man and myself and the sky and the earth. But the place was full of people, for the spirits were there. And we made the ground there sacred by spreading sage upon it." The vision quest, when we imagine so-and-so is going to find a place in the wilderness and they're going to do their quest there. It's not the same place for everybody. And remember, we're talking about a Midwestern culture that is always on the move. So it's not like this is the Vision Quest spot. You go out with that medicine person and you wander until you find that place where you feel kind of a great spiritual energy. And then you're going to spread this sage, this herb on the ground, and the scent of it, you want the scent of it to kind of attract the spirits into this circle. The medicine person is going to put a stick, a flowering stick, in the middle of the circle. And then at the north, south, east, and west points of the circle, they're going to tie these little bags of herbs and tobacco as gifts to the spirits. And this again, this is going to summon the spirits by scent. The way that the Vision Quest works is that the person going on the quest starts out in the middle of the circle, walks to the western side, and they sing and they meditate, and then they come back to the center of the circle. And then they go to the northern side, and they sing and they meditate and they pray, and then they come back to the center. And then they do the east and then the south, and they keep going around like this. And one of the ways that the Vision Quest will be read when the vision comes is that each one of these directions has its own spirits and its own symbolism. Each direction has its own color and its own energy. And so this will be one of those things that when you tell the medicine person, it's kind of like this. You know, some people are into astrology, and they say, you know, what month were you born, what part of the month, what planet was in what place, and then they use this to try to read a message about that person's destiny. In this culture, instead of the position of the stars at your birth, it is what direction were you facing in, and what was the time of day when you received your vision, like in that moment when the spirits came to invite you into adulthood. Black Elk said, "Standing in the center of the sacred space and facing the sunset, I began to cry. And while crying, I had to say, 'Great Spirit, accept my offerings and make me understand.'" What he's looking for in the Vision Quest, and the vision is different for every person, but what every Vision Quest has in common is this belief. Now, think about this. In some religions, there is a belief that each one of us comes from a pure spirit or soul, like this thing that kind of existed out in the vacuum of space and time, and then was eventually put into a human body and now is in a journey, but the body is just temporary, and the circumstances of your life are temporary, and then the pure spirit or soul is released and gets to go back into wherever it goes. In this religion, the belief is that the individual self, or soul, or spirit, or whatever it's called, does not exist in an empty space, that it only exists in relation to the earth and sky, the animals and spirits, the members of the tribe. And the question is not, how can I get my pure spirit self rescued into some other dimension or into some paradise? The more important question is, how do I as an individual fit in? How do I fit into my family? How do I fit into my community? How do I fit into the community of life, which includes the plants and animals? And then how do I fit into the cosmos, which involves the whole world and the sky and everything? So the vision quest, as I said, it's not that everybody wants to have the same vision. No two people can have the same vision. It is that each person needs to find their specific role in relation to all of this stuff. If you've ever read the Douglas Adams novel, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, there is the worst punishment that you can inflict upon somebody in all of the galaxy is to put them into what is called the total perspective vortex. And what it does is it puts this person in the cosmos so that they can see how small and insignificant they are in relation to everything else. But in this case, the idea is that's good for you, that's good for you as a person, that you need to see how big, kind of how big the world, how big the cosmos is, and that you are one very small part of it, and that you have one very particular but necessary role in it. And what is that role? Yeah. I mean, who knows what would happen, or into the total perspective vortex for that matter. Yes.
I noticed your gender neutrality, so I want to confirm that every girl in the tribe would then go through a vision quest to become a woman.
Now, this is, yes. Now, I think that this is true. It might not be true of every tribe, but yes, I do think that each person goes on a vision quest, and that each person has some, essential role that they need to find in relation to this whole, community of life, the universe, and everything. And interestingly enough, a person generally did this as they were kind of on the brink of adulthood. And for most people, they only had to do this once. But then if somebody reached a point in their life where they were becoming like a real jerk and they started to feel like the center of the universe, the medicine person could come up to you again in your adulthood and say, this is not working out. You are not, there are no celebrities here. You need to go back into this thing and you need to go and be reborn again. Black Elk finally receives his vision. He's facing toward the south, and he sees this cloud, this multicolored cloud coming toward him. It is a cloud of weeping butterflies of all colors, and they swarm around him, and they're crying, and a voice says to him, "Behold these are your people." Now this vision, I find this vision really fascinating because Black Elk comes from a warrior hunting culture. He comes from a culture of really tough people. He comes from the Midwestern Native Americans that the victorious Civil War veterans got pushed out into the Midwest and just torn to pieces by these warriors on horseback. And that's what Black Elk is growing up to be. And yet, he doesn't think of his people as like angry hornets. To him, these are the aunts and uncles and cousins, and this is the family, this is the community that he lives in. And to him, they are like butterflies. A butterfly is very fragile. A butterfly is so fragile that if you were to touch a butterfly's wing, just the oil in your finger would melt the wing so that it could never fly again. just so you know, if any of you are planning on like going out touching any butterflies, don't do it. But butterflies are very fragile, and that's what he sees. He sees his people, they are in danger. His vision comes from the south, and that's going to become part of the message of his vision. And this swarm of weeping butterflies is suddenly attacked. It's attacked by these two dogs, and these dogs are tearing their way through this cloud of butterflies until two lightning bolts from the sky. Now, to Black Elk, these are not lightning bolts. They are the thunder spirits. They are these two warriors from the sky. They come darting down, and they protect the butterflies, and they defeat these two dogs. And he says, then in his vision, the heads of the dogs turn into the heads of Washishu, and that is his word for the fat taker. That means the fat taker. That is his word for the European invaders. So in his vision, his people, his community, are in this great danger, and they're in danger because they are being invaded. They are being displaced. They are being, the bison are being killed off. His people are being not corralled into reservations. Let's remember here, these reservations did not need walls and barbed wire. The only way to get the people onto the reservations was to kill all of the bison and then just start leaving cans of beef and saying, now look, you cannot hunt anymore. This is where the food is going to be. That's how you trap people on a reservation. That the trap was not prison bars. The trap was just canned food. So he knows that his people are in this great danger. But he also knows that there is something that is on their side, that these thunder beings, that the spirits still care about his people. He says, I cried harder now than ever, for I was afraid, and I asked the spirits to pity me and spare me. And I told them that I knew now what they wanted me to do on earth, and I would do it if I could. He knows that the thunder beings are calling for him to become a healer, to become a medicine person. And this is something that he has sensed since his childhood. He's been very afraid of it, and now finally during his vision quest, he responds to the spirits that he's ready to do this thing. He says, the night was old by now, and soon I fell asleep. And as I slept, I saw my people sitting, sad and troubled, all around a sacred teepee. And there were many who were sick. And as I looked on them and wept, a strange light leapt upward from the ground and close by. A light of many colors, sparkling with rays that touched the heavens, and then it was gone. And in the place from whence it sprang, an herb was growing, and I saw the leaves it had. There was a voice that woke me and said, make haste, hurry, your people need you. I looked around and saw the east was just beginning to turn white, and all around there were clouds of baby faces smiling at me, the faces of people not yet born. Birds were singing somewhere, and there were horses nickering and blowing as they do when they're happy. And somewhere deer were whistling, and there were bison mooing. What I could not see of this, I heard. Black Elk's vision. From the age of 17, he's going to live to be almost 90. He is going to help a lot of people. He's going to deliver a lot of babies. Now at the age of 17, he is seeing kind of this vision that's letting him know there will be life, there will be renewal, there will be more people who don't even exist yet, that he will be able to touch and help in his life. He hears animals, and these animal sounds are the sounds of health. They are the sounds of health and life on the plains. They are also the sounds of abundance and the well-being of his people, the horses that they need and the animals that they hunt. Black Elk told his vision to the elders, and they said that I must perform the vision on earth to help the people. And because the people were discouraged and sad, I should do this with the Heyoka, who are the sacred clowns, doing everything wrong or backwards to make people laugh. So not only do the medicine people tell him, now they tell him that his particular vision is for him, but that it's also a vision for the community, that it's something that needs to be shared, and that everyone else in the village needs to be able to experience this vision also, this vision of hope and healing in which the spirits will protect them from the invaders. And interestingly enough, they say the way it needs to be done is with a kind of rodeo clown show, because the people are so discouraged and sad that the vision needs to be acted out, but it needs to be acted out backwards in a way that will make people laugh. He says only those who have had visions of the thunder beings can act as the sacred clowns. There is a belief among Black Elk's people that the thunder beings can enter into a person's body and kind of supercharge them with so much electricity and so much energy that it causes the person to act insane, which is both funny and it's also scary. But Black Elk says when a vision comes from the thunder beings of the West, it comes with terror like a thunderstorm. But when the storm of vision is past, the world is greener and happier. For wherever the truth of vision comes upon the world, it is like rain. In the clown ceremony, everything is backward. For example, like people are going to like ride horses backwards, naked, and do like horse stunts. They're going to, jump backwards into puddles as if they were jumping into a lake. They're going to do kind of all of these strange and wacky backwards things to make people laugh. Black Elk says, you have noticed that the truth comes into this world with two faces. One is sad with suffering, and the other laughs, but it is the same face, laughing or weeping. When people are already in despair, maybe the laughing face is better for them. And when they feel too good and are too sure of being safe, maybe the weeping face is better for them to see. And so I think that is what the clown ceremony is for. So Black Elk is saying here that in his culture, I don't know if you've ever been to like an Irish wake, where you're doing the funeral, but you also are trying to make people laugh. It's a sad thing, but you balance that with laughter. Or, when we do a wedding, it's a happy thing, but weddings tend to be very serious, and you kind of balance out the celebration with doing something very serious. So Black Elk says that ritual, when we think about it, ritual needs to kind of meet us where we are, but sometimes it needs to come to us with that opposite face, that unexpected face, and give us an adjustment. After this ceremony, people are going to start coming to this 17-year-old and saying, well, we have experienced your vision, and we do feel that the spirits want to help people through you. Not that Black Elk himself has this power, but the belief is that he can become like a conduit or like a wire through which the thunder spirits can kind of channel their energy, their healing energy into the physical world. So in our next session, we're going to look at Black Elk doing his first healing, which I'll tell you this about it. He's 17 years old, and a guy from the village whose name is Cuts to Pieces comes up to this 17-year-old and says, "My son is dying. I need you to come and heal him." So if you can imagine that you're 17 years old, your entire medical training has been like this thing that you saw on a mountainside. And now, not only is some dude coming up to you and putting you to the test, but his name is Cuts to Pieces. So you know that the stakes are high. And as we'll see, what Black Elk has got going for him when he walks into this tent, I don't want to give too much away, but what he's got going for him when he walks into his tent is a drum, a tobacco pipe, and this four-leafed plant that he saw in his vision. So in our next session, we'll find out if Black Elk can turn this into a healing. Do we have questions about what we've looked at today? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. This is a good question. When he goes into the sweat lodge with the medicine person, yeah, they do. They've got a sacred pipe, probably full of willow, a certain willow bark. But it's not the pipe that's going to give him the visions, because then by the time he gets to like where he's doing his thing, whatever was in the willow bark has kind of worn away. And it's not, I don't think it's a hallucinogenic willow bark. Yeah, but good. This is a good question. And of course, there's a whole world of stuff that I don't know about this. But what I can say is this. Think about it. If you've ever gone like too long without eating, you can start to see things a little bit differently, like people's heads start to like glow a little bit, and you start to, it is a form of hallucination. And I think part of what's happening is that your brain becomes concerned that it might be dying, and then your senses, you begin to perceive things, you begin to sense things differently. I think some of our like sense filters kind of shut down a little bit. I mean, if you go like a whole day without eating, I think it can happen. Yeah, that's right. And that's something that's common to many different cultures, the fasting to produce a vision. Yes?
Are there any cultures today that might participate in fasting like this, or any sort of rituals to visions?
Yes, there are. I mean, there are still Native American cultures that do this. There are like African cultures that have like purification lodges, places where people go and they fast and purify themselves in this way. There are, and I mean, here's something. And this is, and I can't say that this is like connected or parallel, but it's, the month of Ramadan just ended. And that is the Islamic time of fasting, in which you cannot eat from sunrise until sunset, which is, and that's what the Quran says. But of course, the length of the day in April is different depending on where you are on Earth. And the idea is not to hallucinate, but that throughout the day, as you like reread and revisit parts of the Quran, that you can experience the text. If you have not eaten all day, you can sort of like experience the words and the prayers differently. So yes, I think, as far as I know, all religions have some version of fasting, not necessarily in order to hallucinate or you know, but to like to kind of bring a person to a place between life and death, and that, you know, where it's like having one world, one foot in the flesh world and one foot in the spirit world. Yes. Good. All right. Well, thank you. Well, thank you. Well, good. What? Yeah.